everyone, welcome to ZETA IAS. My name is Srishti Saxena and the topic that we will be discussing today is still ongoing. It has sparked outrageous reactions across the country, and the topic is the Supreme Court's order to remove all stray dogs from all public spaces in Delhi and NCR. Now this is a very emotional topic and it has divided this country into two groups, the one that is supporting the decision of the Supreme Court and the one that is opposing, and there a lot of noise has been made around it, and it's still people are holding debates and protests against this decision. But before we discuss this issue, before we divulge into the details, let me first narrate the backstory of this decision. Now, on June 30th, a 6-year-old girl named Chavi Sharma was bitten by a stray dog in Rohini area of New Delhi. Despite the initial treatments, the child passed away on July 25th and the cause of death was registered as rabies. Now, the Supreme Court took cognizance of the matter and the two-judge bench passed this order of removing all the stray dogs from all public spaces in Delhi and NCR and to put them into shelter homes. Now there are multiple, beyond this debate and beyond the headlines, this topic has opened up several questions. And today in this video we will be discussing what exactly is, what are the impact and what will be the consequences if all dogs are eliminated from the area. So let's start. Now this decision is questioned on three grounds. The first is that is it a reasonable way to eliminate rabies? I mean, this is the only reasonable way to eliminate rabies. Secondly, if it is financially viable. And thirdly, the effect it will have on the ecological balance of the region. Let's first begin with how impractical it is. Now imagine within 48 hours, 3 lakh dogs are being removed from a region. Now in that, the area that was once occupied by so many dogs is vacant now. There are no dogs, but there is food. And if there is food, then the dogs from the adjoining areas of, let's say, Meerut, Palwal, Faridabad and XYZ will come in search of food and they will occupy this region. Now, if not dogs, then monkeys are going to come and occupy the region because dogs act as a shield. Dogs restrict the entry of these of animals like monkeys into this region. Now, in dogs' absence, this is going to happen. Monkeys are going to come. Rodents are going to come. Now, this is not the first time that the elimination of dogs has been considered as a way of eliminating rabies or beautifying a city. In 1994 also, in 1994, what had happened, the Municipal Commissioner of Surat ordered the elimination of all dogs. And elimination at that time meant killing the dogs. And within 2 weeks, all the dogs were eliminated. But what followed this action was the rapid increase in the population of rats. Now, rats fear dogs. Rats do not fear humans, but they do fear dogs. And this is one reason why they remain underground. But when dogs are not there, the rats have an upper hand. And they come on the surface, they start attacking. And it must be noted that rats multiply rapidly. A rat on an average gives birth to 32,000 pups in a year. So imagine the kind of outburst it might have had at that point. And because the rodents population rose to extraordinary levels, it led to the outbreak of bubonic plague, which is deadly, and it created panic in the society all over the country. There was fear all over the country, public fear. And because of public fear, the tourism came to a standstill. The tourism dropped 2 years. For 2 years, there was no tourism, there was no revenue, and the country suffered because of this one small decision. So you can see the magnanimity of the consequences of this decision. And this is not the first time, this is not the only incident. Even in 1880s in France, you know, France, what had happened that Paris is, it is a beautiful city. Now the government decided to beautify the aesthetics of Paris, and they decided to eliminate dogs and cats from the city. But again, with their elimination, the rodents overran the city, and eventually the people had to flee it. So this is a very impractical decision. If you see it, it is also a consequence of disturbing the natural ecosystem, and nobody has gained from disturbing the natural ecosystem or the ecological balance of a region. So you see, the second thing is that it is also cruel in nature. This decision is cruel in nature because it appears to contradict the laws given in the animal birth control rules, especially for the dogs of in 2001, and it was replaced by the 2023 rules also. Now, according to this rule under animal birth control law, the community dogs, they have to be humanly caught, sterilized, vaccinated, and put back in the exact place where they were found. Now, the municipal corporation of Delhi has been routinely displacing these dogs in the name of sterilization. And as a result, these dogs, because dogs are territorial in nature, they are getting more angry, they're getting frustrated. If by territorial we mean that a dog has its own territory. It will not allow new dogs to come into its region, its territory. And when a new dog comes, there is more competition for food, there are fights, and as a result there are more dog bites, there is more there are more dog attacks. And this is also one of the reasons why in the recent past the number of dog bites and dog attacks have increased in Delhi especially. And so we see that it is cruel in nature. It also triggers a vacuum effect by vacating this particular place. More animals come into the picture, and the question is the same. The state of rabies stay the same. And third most important the scientific evidence against this decision, that the people who are opposing it are giving scientific evidence against this decision, and it is that these now these dogs, this is a very this is the diagram that I have made, but this is a particular residential society. And so imagine if these dogs, there are the sterilized dogs. Specifically, if we talk about these people have been talking about removal of the sterilized dogs also. Now, removal of sterilized dogs is very, very harmful, and I'll tell you why. Now, these sterilized dogs are already vaccinated against rabies, so they act as a shield, not only against the outbreak of, not only against the rats and monkeys, the menace they create, but also again they also act as a shield between rabies virus and human beings, because this virus has got no other place to go. But when these sterilized dogs are also removed from a particular region, new dogs are going to come in with who are not vaccinated, and thereby we are creating a new base for the virus to spread. So the specialists or the experts or the animal activists are saying that, this decision is not going to eliminate rabies. On the other hand, it is going to multiply it, because we are creating a new base for it to spread. So you see, and the most important, again, the administrative hurdle that this decision is going to cause is the financial unviability of this order. The Supreme Court has also mentioned that these stray dogs have to not only be removed from public spaces, but they have to be put into shelter homes. Now we know the kind of infrastructure that we have in the country as a whole. There are no shelter homes, and the animal clinics are in poor health. There are no routine visits of the doctors, and we cannot afford to have new shelter homes, because building a new shelter homes would require acquiring acres of land, and infrastructural uh, expenditure on the infrastructure. For example, you can't build a shelter home or a pound in a residential area. It is going to create chaos in the minds of people. People are going to protest again. So you have to have a land that is in the outskirts of the city. You need a lot of land, because you cannot put in Delhi itself has approximately 1 million dogs population, and you can't expect them to be put in one shelter home. All the dogs cannot be put into one shelter homes. So you have to build multiple shelter homes, and for that you need money, and enormous amounts of money, because building one shelter alone would cost 4 to 5 crore of rupees, because electricity has to be provided, sanitation has to be provided, proper drainage has to be provided for the waste to flow out. We have to create homes for people who would be looking after, who would be taking care of the animals and looking after the shelter homes. So it involves enormous expenditure, and so this again, this is practically not possible and financially unviable. Now we have all discussed the pros and the cons of this decision, and definitely it is not the best way out. Man and dog have shared a very uh, affectionate relationship in the past and even today. A dog is man's best friend, his companion. Even in the Harappan civilization, the excavations have provided evidence that dogs were buried with man, especially in the oval pit burials, as seen in Ropar. I'm sorry. So you can't take these dogs away, and as far as Delhi is concerned, dogs are an inevitable part of the Indian of the Delhi community. Also, community dogs are very good watchers. They act as good guards. They guard the lonely streets at night, the dark streets at night. They guard the houses. They guard the entire society. They guard the entire colonies, and you can't. So their elimination is not only it will not only cause an ecological imbalance, or it will not only become a financial burden, but it is also unethical in practice, because ultimately you will be taking the dogs out of its territory, and since there are no shelter homes, and you can't leave the dogs to the jungles, because they're going to come back, and if they don't come back, they're the monkeys are going to come out and create menace in your something that you would not want in your day-to-day life. So you can say that this is not a viable decision. It is not a sensible decision, and the Supreme Court has obviously displayed a case of judicial activism, and because the waste removal and the removal of the dogs, waste management, they fall under the duties and responsibilities of the municipal corporation, which is executive responsibility. So you have to see that, when it comes to UPSC, this topic is very important, because this topic covers multiple topics in UPSC. It covers your ethics part. Is it ethical? Is it ethical for the dogs to be removed from their own territory and to be put in some alien place so that they starve, they die ultimately? If not of euthanasia, they're going to die anyway, because dogs, it is very difficult to understand the psychology of a dog. So it involves ethical question here. It is a case of judicial activism. The judiciary has acted out of its league here. So it is a case of judicial activism. It also involves the problems in governance. How is the administration going to handle this situation? How is it going to handle 1 million dogs and provide them sheltered homes? And if you talk about the police coming, the protests that are happening, it involves the police. It involves diverting the interests to another completely different zone, and the police is already overburdened with work, and now they also have to look after the protesters, they also have to make arrests, they also have to deal with other people, the animal lovers, the animal activists. So it also involves the question of governance. And lastly, and the most importantly, the vacuum effect that it is going to have, the vacuum effect that it will trigger, and which in return will disrupt the natural ecosystem. So there are a lot of, so this topic covers multiple dimensions with respect to UPSC, and therefore it becomes important. And now, if this is not a viable decision, if this decision is not wise enough, it is not sensible, and it is not in the interest of the society and the community, then what can be the way out? Now, firstly, what is the way out? The way out is that rabies is a preventable disease, but it is not curable. Once the symptoms start showing, it becomes 100% fatal. So what can be done is that the sterilization drive, the sterilization and vaccination of dogs, it has to be very, very well moderated. It has to be monitored. It has to be strictly implemented. So firstly, make sure that dogs are sterilized and vaccinated. Their removal is not going to help, but their vaccination definitely will. So they have to be sterilized, they have to be vaccinated properly. The second is that the government should engage with the feeders and the NGOs that work for animal welfare. There must be a consensus between the government and these two people. If the government takes in the feeders into confidence, they can help in properly sterilizing the dogs. They can help in controlling these dogs, because whenever the sterilization van comes, the dogs run here and there, and the feeders can properly take care of them. They can definitely manage these dogs because they understand dogs better than the people who are catching them. So this has to be done. Thirdly, the pet clinics. Now, there is a very strict rule that the pet clinics will only sell food and other miscellaneous items like leashes and other things with respect to the to pets, of course, dogs and cats and everything. But it's strictly there is a strict ban on their selling of the animals. They're not supposed to sell animals. But again, this law is not implemented, and it is fluted, it is uh, taken for granted. And these pet clinics, what they are doing is that they are getting breeds from abroad, and they are they're engaging in forced breeding. For example, German shepherds and retrievers and other expensive breeds of dogs are coming, and people are buying them. So there has to be a strict regulation, there has to be a strict law, the implementation should be strict, so that these pet clinics are not uh, crossing their boundaries. And fourthly, it is not the only responsibility of the government to take care of the dogs and to take care of the well-being of the dog, well-being of the relationship of the between the dogs and the community. So the public has to take responsibility. It has to stop buying the dogs, and it has to start adopting. You know, people are not adopting the local breeds of dogs, instead they're buying them. And this is one reason why the shelter homes are full. This is one reason why there is litter in localities, and there is competition for food and territory, and which is also giving rise to which is also resulting in more incidents of dog bites and dog attacks, and especially dogs attacking children and young people. So you see that this is not a viable decision, and you have to, and you can use this topic when it comes to governance, when it comes to ethics. And we also need, having discussed this topic, there is also a very this topic has awakened the country to a strong need for animal rights that India doesn't have. And we need to protect these people, we need to protect the society and the community well-being. Even dogs are important, we share a good relationship. There are therapy dogs, there are especially for the child patients. And in all, there is we share a good relationship with dogs, and they are harmless unless they are secure, they feel safe, they feel secure. And it is also our responsibility to make them feel happy, to make them calm, to make them secure by doing what the needful, and the needful is here. I hope this session helped, and happy learning. Bye, sir.